Hello, my friends. Welcome if you are new, and welcome back if you are not. Today we're diving into Notion again, which I am always excited to talk about Notion. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I plan and I get organized sometimes as a form of stress relief. This looks so sketchy in the background, so we're going to put it over here. But I plan and I organize sometimes for stress relief. And I feel like a big benefit to that is it taught me how to use Notion really, really quickly. And thank God for that, because I am obsessed with Notion. Notion is like my favorite tool. Y'all hear me talk about it all the time. And today, what I really wanted to do is I really just kind of wanted to give you a tour inside of my Notion. We've taken a look at a couple of the different views, but I want to kind of give you a glimpse into how I use Notion to stay organized. I feel like this might end up being like a very, very loaded question, but we're doing it. How I use Notion to stay organized. So I'm very excited to dive into this with you to give you some little sneak peeks into some of the things that I do and show you some of my templates and whatnot. I also do have a free template that is included below with some of my kind of favorite aspects of my personal template. I also really tried to simplify it down because I know one of the big things with Notion is it can be very, very overwhelming. Like even when I break it down for people, there's just so much potential that sometimes your brain's just like, when you're working inside of Notion. So I gave you a template that's nice and simple and a very easy place to start, but let's go ahead and dive in. Let's go ahead and take a look at how I stay organized with Notion. So we are literally just gonna start from like the main page here. We're gonna start from the dashboard. Frankly, this is the dashboard that I like never use. It's just where everything is linked here, but I find that I have kind of slowly but surely over time started to figure out what are the pages I use the most, and I tend to mostly operate off of my favorites over here. So but this is the dashboard, and let's actually just start by using the main dashboard, because this is like my home base. This is whenever my Notion logs in. Notion always goes into your one that's at the top of your favorites, and if you don't have any favorites, it just goes into that first page of whatever it's at the top. And this is probably the place I go to more often than not. I've got a little inspirational quote. It's very, very on brand if you've ever been to my website. We got a little inspirational quote and some different quick links at the top here for some of the places that I tend to go to when I'm ending and starting my day. So I actually have a check-in list. This is something that was very, very inspired by K Digital Studio. I liked the idea of having a place to go that I like check into every day. My water is boiling, so I will be right back. Yum. Okay, I'm making or made a hot butter rum, and this is like in my family we used to have these in the evenings in the holidays, like so much. It is a non-alcoholic hot butter rum because I got a little bit more work to do and nobody wants me teaching high schoolers when I've got rum in my system. So regular old hot butter rum with my favorite mug. I love this mug, my homebody mug. But let's dive back in. So I like to start my day with this little check-in, kind of reminder of my boundaries, my values, and then some of the important things I like to do to kind of get myself set up for the day. I also have a check-out list that I will check into at the end of the day. I have to go back in and clear all of the checks, which actually, if you didn't know this, you can select all of them at once and then uncheck, and it unchecks all of them. So these are just some of the little things I try to do to check out at the end of the day. My habit tracker. I love this habit tracker because when I check into it, I'm doing real good today. I'm really proud of myself. But when I check into it, these little percentages automatically change. And so do the ones up here, my overall completion rates, my weekday completion rates, and my monthly completion rates. These all automatically update. And I really like having access to this from the main dashboard. So this is something that I'll check into. I usually will create the block in the morning, and then I kind of just check into things as I go. Sometimes I forget and I have to come back the next day. But this is one of the big ways that I stay on top of my habits. My main habits that I'm really focusing on are drinking at least 64 ounces of water every day, reading every day, working out, checking into my coaching community every day. No takeout, not drinking. Though I aim to don't drink. I aim to not drink from Sunday to Thursday. And then I'll usually let myself have a glass of wine or whatever Friday and Saturday, because those are my work days. Journaling. So these are my main habits that I try to engage in. And so having those quick access is super nice. I got access to my content creation hub for my business, my meal planning, which is for the most part I use to just keep track of recipes, and then my grocery list, which actually I needed to add something to this. I need to add to this list. Okay, so I like having that there too, because obviously then I can just quickly add things that I remember. But that's kind of the quick links along the top. And then a lot of this here, a lot of these are just reminders. I am a big believer in like out of sight, out of mind. So I put my goals for the week, my goals for the month. I'm not constantly checking into my goals dashboard. So I put those on this main dashboard because this is the place I go every single day. Now, a lot of this is just kind of inspiration, reminders. I do use this over here as my daily journal. So every morning I'll come in and I populate the daily reflection template. I've already done that for today, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete this guy. And then I fill it out in the morning, do a little morning pages journaling, and then I'll do an evening reflection at the end of the day. And then down here is my daily task. Now I'm testing out something new with my daily tasks. I used to have all of my daily tasks, both my current tasks and any overdue tasks, all in one list. And I found more and more that it was a little bit overwhelming. So what I've changed it to recently is to have some of my priority tasks. Actually, these should not be in the priority tasks. Some of my priority tasks, and then what I call a parking lot, which is basically for all of the other tasks that are not so much of a priority, but are tasks that are kind of tentatively scheduled to be done that day. So this kind of keeps me a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more focused, because if I have all of these other tasks, sometimes I tend to get distracted by the tasks that aren't super high priority, but are still things I want to remember to get done. I get distracted by them and I might end up doing these instead of focusing on the ones that are actually the true priority tasks. And then at the bottom here, I've got my high priority projects. So some of the main things that I'm working on right now, I've been working on creating a store of Notion templates, updating my website copy. Again, out of sight, out of mind is definitely a thing. So I just like try to keep them front and center as much as possible. So this is probably the main page where I operate from. But I've also been playing around with a different kind of weekly agenda format where I can keep track of my tasks over the days of the week. I haven't been using this format very much, so I'm going to kind of breeze through this. But basically, I've got my widget box widget, which ignore this widget because it's screwed up this month. They have the 15th on a Tuesday. Today's the 15th, or 15th on a Wednesday. Today is the 15th, and it's actually a Tuesday. So it's a little messed up, but I'm working on kind of seeing how I like organizing tasks into the different days of the week. I might play around with this. I'm not sure how I like it. But this next view is one of my other favorited views, and this is one that I use a lot over the course of my day. This is my my task, notes, and content ideas inbox. And this inbox, what is really nice about this is I'm a big believer in write everything down. Don't try to remember everything. Just write it down, because our brains are frankly terrible rememberers. I think school really screwed us over in that way, as it told us we needed to remember everything. And that is not the best way for our brain to operate. Our brains are good at creating and innovating, and they don't do that very well when they're bogged down with stuff that we have to remember. So I'm a big proponent of write everything down. Every time I think of a task that I need to do, and these are tasks that I just started scheduling content for later in the year, but these are tasks that I generated today. These are notes that I wrote today. Like, I did my daily reflection. I did some research today. But one of the biggest things is I had a license code for a new service that I signed up for because I was sick of paying monthly for Superhuman. So I'm trying out Mailbird now, which is a one-time fee, which I really like. And I didn't want to forget my license, so I just created a note inside a Notion and put my license key in there. And then if I have random content ideas, I think a really good best practice for people who are business owners or content creators is to have a running list of content ideas instead of having to constantly think up new content. So whenever I come up with an idea for a piece of content, I will put it into here. Obviously, I haven't come up with a ton recently, but this is just a place that is meant to just capture things quickly. If you've got an idea, if you've got a task that you know you need to get done, if you've got a content idea, I can just drop them inside of here. Super, super easy. Another view that I have in here is my day view. I don't use this one a ton. It's very similar to the main dashboard, except the main dashboard just has a lot more inspiration on it. So I don't use this one a ton. I honestly probably shouldn't even have it favorited. So let's go down to this next one. This is a place that I check into probably not every single day, but it is a place that I use a lot to really keep track of my goals. I went through a program called, it was through Mind Valley. I don't remember what it was called, the Life Planner, something like that. And in it, you go through these different parts of your life, and you basically kind of hash out what you want in the different parts of your life. So I've got the different things I want in my health and fitness life, the different things I want in my emotional life, the different things I want in my personal growth. So all of these things, you hash out all of these things inside of here. And I use this as kind of a check-in with myself to make sure that I am kind of moving toward these things. So I'll check in with this about maybe every month, every quarter, just to kind of see how I'm doing. And I also use this is something that's not in the favorites, but is still awesome, and it helps me organize my goals. I used it to help build a personal growth planner. And basically what I did inside of this personal growth planner is I organized every single goal I could ever possibly want to pursue. I put it inside of this personal growth planner. This thing is jam-packed with stuff. So if I look in here, some of the goals that I'm working on this quarter, you can see are broken out for my business, for my finances, for my personal growth. This is actually a goal that I've already completed. So you can see I organize all of my goals inside of here. I have all the milestones hashed out inside of here. So this is a really, really, really helpful place. And it kind of shows me everything that I'm coming up, and if I'm kind of overwhelm myself, because it breaks them out by quarter. So then once we switch over to the new year, all of the goals that are over in next year, they're going to start populating down here into the different quarters. So it keeps me organized with which goals I'm actively working toward, helps me know whether I've got too much on my plate or just right. Like you can see, I actually have a number of these goals that are really close to being completed. So that's awesome. But yeah, so this is a big way in which I organize my goals. Not even just kind of saying when I want to achieve them, but every single goal has benchmarks and is broken down into the different things that I need to do to achieve these goals, no matter what it is. So I'm working on a copywriting course right now. I've even got all of the different notes and things that I've learned and things that I kind of go back to. So I have old speaking copy that I really liked and I didn't want to get rid of, so I put it in here. I have, I have other copy ideas that I really liked and I didn't want to get rid of. So I'll just save things that are important that I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose track of in here. And I also do a transformation test every single time I have goals. I feel like this is me rambling, but you're just kind of seeing some of how I use this. So every single time I set a goal, I do this transformation test. I don't like SMART goal setting, so I have my own version. And I use that to make sure it's a good goal for me to achieve. And then as you can see here, any resources or notes or whatever that I have toward pursuing that goal, I can save inside of my notes, and then all of the tasks that I need to complete are over here. This goal is 91% completed, so it's pretty close to being done. So you can kind of see a little bit of what it looks like when something's been really used to work toward a goal. So that's kind of the goal setting part of things. But I also use Notion to organize a lot of things inside of my business. So this is my business dashboard. I have a dashboard for my business and a dashboard for my day job. This is much more of a bare bones dashboard for my day job because I don't have too many notes that I need to keep track of. I'm not going to keep scrolling because my students' names are down here below this. I used to be a manager, so I did used to have my my team notes inside of here. And to give you a feel for what that looks like, you can actually see I have this in a corporate burnout buster template that I created. But for each team member, I had these different things, whether I recommended them for a raise, their contact preference, the tasks and notes that were associated with them. And then inside of each team member, I had some notes on them, and then I had one-on-one meeting notes that I could keep track of. So it's all nice and synchronized and organized there. So that's something I used to have in my day job tracker. So you can literally see I organize everything inside of Notion. Probably my biggest tenets in Notion is I put everything inside of it. It's all inclusive. It's accessible everywhere. I love that I can access Notion on my phone, which is super, super convenient. And a lot of things in here are templatized. One thing I didn't talk about when I was looking back at tasks, let's actually go into my task manager to view this, is I have a number of tasks inside of here that are recurring tasks. So for example, let's see if I can find something that is a recurring task. So this one right here, I go live inside of my community every week, and I've set up a recurring task inside of Pipedream. So once I check this off, once I do this on Thursday, what it's going to do is it's going to populate that for the next week. Same thing for moderating my group. Same thing for posting check-ins or happening this week. I did all of those on Monday, and now those have been moved to the next week. And it all happens automatically, which is something that I really, really like about that automation. And then you can kind of already see I use templates in a lot of places. So if I look inside of my business, if anytime I create a new project, I create a project template inside of here. And I can start building resources and just figuring out what that project is. But like I've got all of my ideas in here. So for create a Notion template, like I have a note, there's not a lot happening in here, but the main thing is that I have a note of all of the different templates I want to create. And then slowly but surely I'm starting to create them. Inside of my membership, I'm actually not going to go inside of here because I have a list of the names of all of my members that are inside of my membership. But one thing that I will say is that every single time I have a meeting with one of my members, whether it's in a group coaching or in a one-on-one situation, I will pull up their profile and I will jot down notes of kind of some of what we talked about. So that's what I mean by literally everything's in here. Same thing with clients, same thing with speaking. One of the things that I keep track of in my speaking is a countdown for the talks that I have coming up, most of which are not until later in 2023, which is kind of odd. I have some that are in the works for early 2023, but haven't been finalized yet. And then some tasks and some projects inside of here. So that's a lot of my projects for my business. I have I have like ideas for posts. I have different, like my Facebook ads optimization, like notes that I took from a training that I did. Those are all inside of here. Ideas for, I'm going to have a CEO weekend with myself in early 2023. So just some ideas behind that. And then all of my goals that I'm currently working toward are down here as well. Now, I also have, my Notion has different life areas, like things that are kind of organized into different areas in my life. These are all these blocks that I'm deleting as I'm going through are blocks that I had in there as I was creating my template to show people how to use it. And I keep forgetting to remove them. But you can see that I not only have my business in here, but I also have stuff for my environment, my finances, my health. So one of the things I do every week, and we'll look at my reviews and reflections in just a second. Actually, let's just do that right now. Another big practice that I have, and this is actually something that is inside of the included Notion template below, is I do reviews and reflections, and I do them weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. So I'm constantly kind of checking in with myself. And one of my favorite things inside of here is every time I do a weekly review, it populates with this template. And I check in and I ask myself what worked, what didn't work, and what can I improve. And this really helps me start to find the patterns in my life for what are the things that I need to work on and change. But it also has some really, really nice little check-ins that I do every single week, including checking in with my personal cash flow and my business cash flow. I just started doing this and I am obsessed. It is keeping me so much more on track with my budget. I should have done this so long ago. But that's been something I recently incorporated in, as well as some of these other tasks like organizing loose papers, clearing my desktop and downloads folders. So that's something I do every week. And then I also go in at the end of the month and I do a monthly review. So inside of here, inside of my monthly view, I'm going to do this at the end of the month. I'm not going to necessarily do this just yet, but at the end of the month, I'm going to go in and I'm going to look through all of the reviews I've done, look for any patterns inside of the different reviews I've done, and then I check in with my goals and I work through this review template. I also check in with my values. This is something I do every month as well. So this is a really, really handy little check-in to do as well, just to kind of make sure I'm on track. And then I also do this end of month review. The other really cool thing is you might have seen a second ago that if I go back to the weekly reviews, let's go back to reviews and reflections. If I go back to the weekly reviews and I go inside of here and I click on one of the reviews, it says it is related to the month of November 2022. That relation that I've built between these makes it so that when I go to November 2022, the weeks that are there automatically populate. And this makes it really, really handy when I go in and I do my monthly review. I can go back and I can look at these weeks without having to bounce around in Notion too much. So I've got my reviews that I do. I also do quarterly reviews, so you can see a little bit of that. This one is also empty because I do this at the end. Well, actually, sorry, this isn't empty because I do this at the start of the quarter to use it to set goals for my quarter. So this is really a really handy thing to have to kind of set myself up for success over the course of the quarter. And then slowly but surely, these guys start to populate in here. And then last but not least, which I'm looking forward to doing this in 2022, I do a review for my year. So inside of here, similar to what we had going on in the other ones, I don't know why these are all unhidden, but similar to what we had in the other ones, you can go and you can see the different quarters over the course of the year, and I can kind of use these to help me do my yearly reviews. This is a practice that I'm obsessed with. I love. I think it's incredibly important for building self-awareness on the things that are working and not in your life. And that is something that I absolutely love. So, and it kind of relates back to some of the things that I had in my life areas, because like, for example, my finances, some of the things that I have in this finance section are I have my goals, absolutely, but I also have these different finance trackers that I use inside of Notion, as well as notes from like trainings that I've done. Another really cool thing that I have inside of here, which let's see if we can see it. Yeah. Okay. So inside of here, you can see that there are library references inside of my finance tracker. These are actually literally exact notes and highlights that I've made in books that I've read, and I've kind of associated them with my finance goal. So it is like, you can literally see I have everything inside of Notion. It's ridiculous. But I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. I made some highlights of things that I really, really liked. And I can access them directly from my finances resource because it's all nice and linked up. It's all nice and synchronized, which is super, super convenient. I also already mentioned a second ago, I've got my content creation hub. This is where I organize the different pieces of content that I'm going to launch for my various social media channels. We're going to take a drink of this because I literally don't think I've drank out of it since I made it. It's so good. It's just like the holidays for me. It's the holidays in a cup. Okay, but yeah, this is my content creation hub. At the top, I really just kind of outline like generally what the plan is. There are definitely a number of views in here that I don't really use very much. I mostly use the channel layout. So if I go in and I look at my Burned Out to Badass podcast, inside of here, you can see all of the content that I'm currently kind of ideas that I have that I'm game planning out. Holy smokes, I need to limit how many of these load because there are so many of them. Okay, so we changed the load limit. It shouldn't be as crazy now. And I can also see all of the things that are like currently in progress inside of here, as well as the things that are currently completed. I actually feel like I have a number of these that should have been changed to completed. Yep. This one's been completed. This one's been completed. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not great at updating the tags. This one has been completed. OMG, Ellen. This one has been completed. There we go. Okay, so it helps me keep track of the stuff that's been completed and the stuff that's upcoming for this individual channel. Probably more often than not, though, when I'm looking at content creation, I'm looking at everything as a whole. So I usually use this project manager view. This shows me all of the things that are in progress, which seems like a lot, but it's spaced out over several months. And then this is my kind of content posting goal. So these are all things that have already gone up, and then these are all things that are coming up moving forward. I really need to distribute the last week in November because damn, that's a lot of stuff that's coming out. So that's kind of a really quick look inside of the content creation hub, but you can see I use it for all of the different things. My YouTube channel, my blog, my podcast. 90% of the time, these three are getting the same content posted to them. Like I write a blog. I use that blog to then create the YouTube video and the podcast. This is probably one of the few exceptions where I don't do that because you can't really podcast about using Notion. My newsletters, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, my LinkedIn newsletter, like all the things. And then I eventually am probably going to do this and fill this a little bit more out. But right now I don't have a lot in here because what I actually usually do when I'm creating content, this is another way that I stay organized, is if I have a new piece of content that I am creating, you can see inside of here, I have all sorts of different templates for the different content that I'm going to create. So if it's a YouTube video, I click this one. If it's a multi-purpose piece of content that's going in multiple places, I click this one. If it's a podcast, I click this one. So I have these templates built in so that I just have to click them and get started. These templates also include all of the default tasks. So these are kind of my workflows. It's part of the reason why I never really got to put them down here because I have them elsewhere. So that's another big way I stay organized is I save all of my templates inside of here. So when I have a new idea, not only can I just pop it in to this system, I just pop it into my quick capture page that we looked at before, and then eventually I'll go in and decide where I'm going to post it, and I will create my template, and then I will schedule out the different steps. So probably the last couple places to look at, we already looked at the meal planner, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that. I also use this to plan out trips that I'm going to go on, for the most part potential trips. Like I did go to conference, Empower Her in Phoenix. I went to Whistler with a friend. I have a number of really, really fun things I want to do, so I'll often use it to plan out things. This is a big like shout out to Anna Lanks because watching her videos is how I built this. And I really, really like this idea of using it as a travel planner. So if I've got trips coming up or I'm just planning potential trips, then I use this travel planner. I have 80 bajillion other pages that we didn't necessarily look at inside of here. But in a nutshell, that is kind of how I use Notion to stay organized. I use it, you can see in so many places. I use it in my business. I use it for tasks. I use it for capturing basically every note I take, highlights from when I'm reading Kindle. I use it for literally everything. And I hope that it gave you some ideas for some of the potential of using Notion for yourself. If you do want to get started in Notion, or like, for example, you want to steal my reviews and reflections system, go ahead and head to the link in the description below because I do have a Notion template down there to get you started and to give you a little glimpse into that reviews and reflections system. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. But other than that, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. If you're liking what you're seeing about using my Notion systems, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let me know. But thank you again for being here, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye.